appreciate you coming on. I really, really do. Because I'm still, to this day, I'm still blown away. Like that you have done, just in case y'all don't know, this is Michael Bayouth, and he did the art for not only Any Last Words magazine, but oh my gosh, like if you don't at least know his name, you have seen his work more than a handful of times. And when you see it, you're gonna go, oh my God. So
Well,
I
you
know
had the great name. Any last words? It's just like that just shouted out to me. I love that name.
I know you hit me up and I was like,
I,
okay.
I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity because the name was so great. It's like, oh, don't let somebody else get it before me. Let me design that. I would love, because it's like a movie name. It's like I just love that name. It's great.
Thank you so much. And it just came out so awesome. I was so excited the whole week. I was telling like everybody I knew. I would go to work and I tell my friends, oh my gosh, have you ever seen this, and this? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that guy's gonna do the art from my magazine.
Well, it's all about perception. So you get a logo like that, and all of a sudden it's an identity thing. It's like the face to your baby. It's like, and you finally see it, and you go, oh yeah, that's what it is. That's the identity. That's its brand, and it all just comes together when there's branding and identity involved with any kind of a product or movie or podcast or anything. It's just like it's branding is perception, and perception is 99.9% of like what the audience feels about your company and about you. So I'm honored to be able to help. It was great.
Thank you so much. I will forever be blown away and appreciative and thankful. And I'm like, whatever you need me to do, I will do it. So if you need me to go rent like a billboard somewhere, I got you. But speaking of
No,
like,
really, my pleasure. Because now I'm an older guy, and the word is you give back. You help people. You start giving back more and more as you get older, and I love it because you get to see people like you light up, and their faces glow, and they freak out and scream at real high pitched volumes, and that's awesome.
yeah, it's like Christmas. It's great. Well, it's better than Christmas because it's not on Christmas. So
Right, right. Christmas every day you wake up and look at your logo. Oh, there it is.
and speaking of babies and new faces and stuff, you yourself, sir, have a new baby that is just its faces everywhere, and I'm digging it so much. I'm digging how much speed it seems to be getting, and even though I'm not on social media much anymore, when I do scroll through, I do see what's going on. I'm just trolling for a couple of minutes in between my breaks and stuff, but I've seen you've got so much going on.
It's my pandemic baby, and I call it that because everybody, so many of us, people out there, that do different things. We all got invested in our things, our hobbies, our side projects when the pandemic hit, and we had nothing but time on our hands. We were sequestered, and so I did the same thing. I had written this little short screenplay. My kids all loved it, and which is kind of a novelty for them. They pull no punches with dad's writing, and they really liked it. It was just a short, and so I said, well, geez, if my kids like it, maybe I should try developing it. And so I had nothing to lose. It's kind of like, you're not going anywhere, Michael. Shut the hell up and write. And okay, well, my wife had just gotten me master class, so I had Aaron Sorkin and Dan Brown and all these like gods of the writing world in my living room. And I was just taking notes. I was just like a sponge, just sucking it all up. It was awesome. And then I had nowhere to go. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to write down what I know about this movie. And I'm going to listen to these things. And I'm going to immerse myself into the world of all of this stuff, this minutia of ghosts and energy and clearing and doing a clearing. My wife's a feng shui practitioner, so I got all of this firsthand information about clearing and energy and it all. I've gone through cancer. Okay, this is kind of gets a little dark, but it's how to spin your negatives into a positive, you might say. About 6 years ago, I went through. They caught it early, thank God, but I had a tumor, big cancerous tumor in my chest somewhere, hitching a ride, partly attached to my heart. They had to do open chest surgery. And then after that, I from the radiation and the chemo, it gave me esophageal cancer. Thank you very much. And I had to have my esophagus removed. And that was like a 9-hour surgery. So I shouldn't even be here right now. And
Oh,
one of the cool things about this story is I had given it up. I had given up writing. I didn't think I was going to live through all that. In all honesty, I thought my ticket was up. I was cashing out, cashing in my chips and checking out. And some, I guess they caught it early. That's really the crux of it. And I got through it. And but I stopped everything. I stopped filmmaking. I stopped writing. I just put it all aside. I thought I wasn't going to make it through it. And then a friend of mine who edited a film I did back in 2010, a mockumentary, a comedy with a bunch of really great improvisational comedians, Aaron Barocas, and he edited my film. He took 90 hours and made it into like a little chunk of gold. And we won the Mock Fest at Raleigh Studios. I don't know if you heard of Mock Fest. Anyway, it's for mockumentaries.
yeah.
It was a mockumentary feature, and it won first place. So I had my little day in the sun there, and he had edited. I met Aaron, and I've known him. He's a great guy. And I was, after my cancer, I was kind of in recovery. I was watching him just make all these film festivals and accolades and shoot short films and get them in festivals and really his scripts. And I started asking him about it. Well, how do you do this? And he started telling me about Film Freeway and Cover Pro and all these places where you can go to, like, get your material out there. And I wrote this full screenplay. So I started doing was Aaron said, look, if it's in your blood, it's pointless not to do it, right? And I said, God damn, you are so right, buddy. It is in my blood. I mean, my dad was Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th. My mom was a fashion illustrator. So I'm like, an artist, and I'm a filmmaker, and I love film and I love storytelling. And I've had a stint in acting and producing and directing. And it's just, I love storytelling. That's at the heart of it all. And so anyway, I started doing as Aaron said, and I started putting this screenplay into competitions on Coverfly and Film Freeway, and bam, it just started hitting. And now it's got like an 8. I won one competition and the Hollywood Blood Horror, and I've placed in the finals in like 2 or 3. I'm in the semifinals at a couple. I'm in the quarterfinals, and I'm in like 8 festivals. So I couldn't be any happier, Joe.
That is awesome. That's amazing. And I featured you in the first issue of the magazine, and it talks about cornstalkers and stuff. And at that point, that's just because you had sent me the story and everything to read, and I loved it. And that's kind of just where you were at that point.
I was
Like,
just
you
finishing
were
it,
sitting on it.
yeah, I was just finishing it and getting it in a few festivals, submitted, not any results yet at all from anyone, but I was excited about it, and I kind of thought, you know what? I feel confident enough that I'm going to go ahead and give it to you and let you put that article together, which I was kind of biting my fingernails because I didn't quite know what I had yet, and it's just been unbelievable, Joe. I'm
I'm
so
so
excited.
I'm
Yeah, thank
so
you.
excited for you. You're truly just an amazingly talented person, and it seems like you're a very multifaceted person, which is a good thing. There really
Well,
is.
I got lucky, I with the artistry and the filmmaking kind of glued together. I'm a storyboard artist by trade, a union storyboard artist, and I'm working on Winning Time right now. The whole thing about the Lakers dynasty on
Hmm.
HBO. I'm working on season 2. I worked on season 1, and I've made a few relationships with a few directors along the way, and one of them is a really, really great guy who is up in Canada right now, in Toronto, Nick Kopus. And boy, Nick really loved the screenplay, and he's got it with his Canadian producers right now. And I'm just like, I'm pacing around rereading chapters of my screenplay writing book on how to work out an option and how to deal with every step of the process. And I am fired up, girl.
I'm so excited for you. When do you project you might start filming?
Well, we haven't got any green lights yet. I've got to sell the screenplay. I've got to talk with, we've got to, they're analyzing it right now, and it's gone through several phases, and it hasn't gotten tossed in the trash can yet. So I'm still alive. I'm not dead yet. So it's really exciting that it still is a living in these producers' hands, and it, you know, it wouldn't be a small thing. It would be a really, really nicely sized production. So I'm trying not to talk about it, but I'm super excited. You can tell I'm brimming, trying to just keep it all under this pressure cooker of excitement.
Just tell your wife, just keep the feng shui going so that,
Yeah,
you know.
she's a life coach as well, so I've been getting a lot of free life coaching. Honey, I need your help.
Oh,
I'm freaking out again. Help me, honey.
just like, just breathe in the paper bag, in and
Yeah.
out. It's like it's not floating. So,
Yeah. If you need me, I'll be upstairs having an anxiety attack on the couch. Yeah, exactly.
you've worked for quite a few big names throughout
I
your
got,
career.
I got really lucky. You know, I started at the age of 18, right 2 weeks out of high school. I didn't even go to college. I was working at NBC Television in the graphic arts department. And so I got a ton of knowledge there. And I started going to Art Center at night. And NBC was actually paying for my college education, if you can believe that, because it was
That's
related.
awesome.
So I was doing night college at Art Center. And then, you know, I wound up there for like 6 years. That was like my base college training was NBC, and I was doing like courtroom illustration. I learned how to do airbrushing, and this was before the computers. This is 1973. So
Okay.
I got to learn all of that old school hands-on graphics, illustration stuff. And then I left there and I went into movie advertising at BD Fox and Friends, working for Brian Fox, who's an incredible kind of like a pioneer of movie advertising, along with Tony Seiniger and all these names in the movie advertising industry. And I moved through Diener Hauser Bates and into CBS doing advertising there. And then I moved into Marvel. I spent 3 years at Marvel working for Stan Lee at Marvel Productions, and I learned how to storyboard on Jem and the Holograms. Remember that cartoon show?
The
Jem and
cartoon.
that's where I got taught how to learn how to storyboard by Deborah Pugh,
Oh,
this amazing artist at Marvel, and she taught me the ins and outs of storyboarding, and in animation storyboards are way detailed. I heard that Steven Spielberg prefers animation storyboards because they pack so much more information into their storyboards. So that's where and working with Stan Lee in the presentation and development department and doing presentation art, that was my job. So I got to learn color, and I got to work with like the god like Stan Lee and just listen to his brain every once in a while, and how
oh,
it worked. And then from there, I kind of opened my own home agency and worked for Disney and Universal. It was kind of a pinch me thing. I had two small children at the time, three, and two of them were living with me, and they were both like 5 and 7. And I was working for Disney at home in my home boutique, working on all their classics. They were re-releasing them on VHS and DVD, and it was all those years, right? And
mhm.
for like a decade and a half, I was doing Aladdin and 101 Dalmatians, and I mean, I was designing the covers, illustrating them sometimes, and the whole cover, front, back, and spine. And I was using my kids, and I would come up with a like headlines that would literally sell the movie. Like for 101 Dalmatians, I came up with, "What would you do with 101 Dalmatians?" Question mark. Keep them on home video. That was the campaign they bought from me, and it was on every billboard, it was on every magazine, and it sold the re-release of 101 Dalmatians. And for Aladdin, it was I had photographed my two kids like rubbing at Aladdin's lamp, and out of the Aladdin's lamp was coming the video box for Aladdin, and it said, the headline said, "Grant their wish on video." That
Dang, that's a Christmas promo right there.
that sold over 250,000 ads. It won a Starch Award. Anyway, I had that client for about, I don't know, a decade and a half, and Universal doing campaigns like, amazing fun. We had so much fun. I was working on a lot of big campaigns. Some of them I was redoing for video. Some of I was just doing from the ground up. I was working on Miyazaki movies for Disney, repackaging, you know, uh, Kiki's Delivery Service and Castle in the Sky. This is all Miyazaki. I'm going, okay, I can't believe I'm working for Miyazaki and doing his covers. And then Sailor Moon, I did Sailor Moon for Disney and all those packages. And Darkwing Duck, the list goes on. Really, it was just like all of their classics. I did this illustration for the cover of Rescue Is Down Under. It was like a dream come true. I mean, my kids were all raised around this Disney brand, and I finally thought, I'm going to have a heart attack, and like I'm going to be dead if I don't take some time off. So I bought a camera, and it was back at the end of the analog days. And I said, I just want to do a short. I just want to do something easy and fun. And I did one short film, a short horror film called A Howl In One, about a werewolf that stalks a golf course. A Howl In One. And my dad I always brought my screenplays and my movies to my dad. Go, hey, what do you think? Because he's the guy in the business, and he always kind of poo-pooed it, but he had a big ego and he didn't want to be outshined by his son. So I get it now. In hindsight, I get it. But I always was taking my screenplays and stuff to him because you're hardwired to your parents. I don't know about you, but I was. And so now it's come full circle where, I kind of went through a period where I was doing a couple, 3 films like this mockumentary and having a really good time, but I was doing it all out of my pocket. I was spending $40,000 of my own money and getting like, exhibition contracts through SAG, not distribution. So I could use SAG actors really cheap. But then at the end of the day, I had nowhere to go. It was like, okay, well, this is no good. So I kind of I did a horror film called Sam Hell, which was really fun. This is on YouTube. Take 22 is my comedy. That's the mockumentary. It's on YouTube. And then I was doing a lot of community theater, acting. I love acting, and community theater is just awesome. You can't say enough good about it. And we were going out to drinks afterwards, and I was doing my Christopher Walken impersonation, and everybody was going, hey, this girl comes up to me and who's in the play with me. She goes, you ought to do Nancy Sinatra's song, These Boots Are Made for Walking, as Chris Walken. I said, oh, I signed up. I said, I'm going up in an hour. I'm on the list. And this place is full. It was payolis in the valley, and it just everywhere. Everybody goes there, and a lot of actually really talented singers go there and show their chops. I get up on stage. Everybody's waiting for a really good singer, and I'm going into Chris Walken. These boots made for Walken, and that's just what they're gonna do. One of these days, these boots, they're gonna walk all over you. And to the music and everything, I just, it just brought the house down. The high fives all the way back to the bar.
That was great. That was great. That's dead on, like Christopher Walken. I love it.
Oh, thanks. So I got in this show. Somebody sent me a thing. They were advertising in Craigslist for a show in Hollywood called All About Walken. And I said, what? Yeah, 9 impersonators. They're looking for 9 impersonators to do a 100-seat theater show. I said, I'm in. I met this guy. We're at a coffee bean, and I'm standing up going, you got me in a vendetta kind of mood. You tell the angels in heaven you've never seen evil so singly personified as you did in the face of the man who killed. I'm auditioning in the middle of Coffee Bean. People are going, what the hell?
What's wrong with this guy?
Anyway, so the play got produced, and I was kind of the headliner Walken. I was kind of the older Walken. All of the other Walkens were young actors who were doing all bits from his movies, bits from Saturday Night Live, but we all had a blast together, and it ran for like 4 years. I was in it for like maybe the first 9 months, but it got really great reviews. I had the Walken wig on, and I'd come out and do Nancy Sinatra's song to open the show every Monday night to a sold-out theater, and it was a blast. And I got this is where it gets interesting. I got an acting agent. It was like, oh my God, it was easy because the show was kind of a little mini hit in Hollywood. And I got an acting agent. He sends me out on this interview, on this audition for a film that was just ready to come out, but DreamWorks had bought it from Slam Dance, and it was a little film called Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
And this casting director called my agent. My agent called me. He says, meet this woman. I can't tell you anything about the project. Meet her. It's DreamWorks. I can't, it's all improv. There's no sides. He goes, you guys did a great job, and then All About Walking. I know you can do this. I said, oh, I love improv. I do a lot of improv. I have done. I was at the Comedy Store for a year in an improv group back in the 80s. So improv is a love of mine. So I went and I auditioned, and I called back, and they hired me. I got cast in Oren Peli's Paranormal Activity. Now I go down to Long Beach and I film for a whole day with the two leads, and I was the demonologist. I was cast as the demonologist. This was back when I was maybe 58, 59 or something. And it was a great day of filming. Oren showed us the film in its current condition. At the end of the day, we all watched it together on the couch there. There was holes in the ceiling where DreamWorks had put cables in, and so she could climb up the walls and shit. It was like bitching. And I started talking filmmaking with Oren. Anyway, 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, I'm going like, "How's it going, Oren? How's it going? Geez, I hope I'm not bugging you." And they cut it out. It disturbed the pace of the movie. They cut the whole scene out. So funnily enough, my credit got attached to the movie somehow. I got cut out, but my credit is, if you go anywhere and Google Paranormal Activity, the first one, you're going to see three names: those two leads and Michael Bayouth. And it's like, wait a sec, what? I mean, I put my name on the IMDb because I did the movie, but and I put down my character's name, but I did everything truthfully. But it just, somebody messed with the IMDb or something, and so anyway, I was all like found footage up the yin yang. I was so like, I was so turned on by Paranormal Activity and what Oren had done, and being an actor in it, and it was just so great. I had this found footage movie called Reel 3, and I found this actor, and I started this production with another guy named Ryan Ball and a writer, and we did a found footage feature at this house in Santa Ynez, and it was just really super creepy, and a kind of about a domestic violence situation. The backstory was this young teenage girl had died in the house, fallen down the stairs, altercation with her father. The wife left him. The whole family imploded, and the realtor who had the house on the market found these tapes in the house, and apparently the dad had gone crazy in shock and lived in the house while it was vacant for months, and shot all this footage on all these tapes. And this was supposedly our movie, these found footage tapes, and it's all this his daughter haunting him, and it's that, that descent into madness. And it's, the whole film is finished. Howie Askins did an incredible job editing it, and it's on my Vimeo account. The password is haunted if you want to see it, but I never released it because I kind of had a falling out with the actor. I got called to do a movie on the East Coast, and I was there for 6 months, storyboarding on a Christian feature. And he was so upset with me that I just kind of dropped everything and left, because it was a tremendous, I got in the union. I mean, this was a big opportunity of my life. And oh my God, it just, the whole thing imploded. So it never got released. But that was my found footage movie. And I just kind of, after that, it was so disappointing that didn't, I just kind of gave it all up. And, I moved to this I went through a divorce and moved to this sleepy little beach town named Carpinteria, just below Santa Barbara. I fell in love again, and then my current wife, Kim, I found out she grew up on Kwajalein Island when she was like 13 or 14. And the more she told me about this military island named Kwajalein and all how it was when she was 13 or 14, the more it sounded like something out of a Ron Howard film or Steven. And so I said, let's write a screenplay. Let's do something. And she was a blog writer, so she was encouraging me to write. And I had kind of suppressed all that. I said, okay, let's do it. And we wrote a novel called 9 Degrees North, self-published it, wrote the screenplay. Incredible fiction, what do they call it? Fictional, historical fiction. And I'm so passionate about the story. It would be expensive to make, but it's kind of like takes place in 69, all that music. And then through the eyes of 6 teenagers learning about all that nuclear fucking testing they did back in post World War II for like a dozen years out there in the Marshall Islands, and what happened to the Marshallese. And it's kind of like been swept under the carpet a little bit. Not a lot of people talk about it. So we wrote a whole thing about that. And then we wrote a rom-com that we have, a screenplay rom-com. We wrote a Bigfoot movie that we sold.
Oh, I love
It,
Biggie.
it it never got produced, but Kim and I wrote a Bigfoot movie, and then the cancer hit and everything went to shit. And then I just kind of swept it all under the carpet and said, I'm done. I probably will never write again, or, let alone if I can even live through this. But then I came out on the other side and you heard all that story. So it's been a full life. I got to work on Spider-Man 2 as a result of that, doing that mockumentary that didn't really, it won the film festival, but it didn't really go anywhere after that. It couldn't. I didn't have the contracts for it. Um, my good friend Bill Bryan, who was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters, he says, "Hey, Mike, you still got your camera and your lighting kit?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I'm working with Steve Johnson over here at Sony, and we're doing Spider-Man 2 with Sam Raimi. And we need somebody to shoot all the puppeteer Doc Ock tentacle shots for the puppeteer unit." There was like 20 puppeteers, and they were developing the tentacles at Steve's shop. So I said, "I'm your Huckleberry." So I got to work for like months with Steve, with John Dykstra, Steve Johnson, Sam Raimi, and doing dexterity tests with the tentacles and filming this rig of a puppet thing with a jib, and this one with a hand puppet, and this one, every different kind of puppet thing. But I got to work with these people and some of these producers and ask dumb questions like, "What's VistaVision?" John Dykstra, "Can you tell me what Vista?" "Oh yeah, sure, son. Come on with me. I'll tell you." And I mean, it was pretty cool. So I learned a lot about puppets, and it was all those. There was a physical effects unit, so this was all our puppet unit. There was CGI, but that was melded with all the puppetry stuff they shot, and that's how Doc Ock's tentacles came to life. So it was part this and part that, and so I learned a lot about that for CornStalkers. There's a lot of big, like, laundry basket sized spiders. There's several of them in CornStalkers. Spoiler alert. But
You're spoiling, not me. So
I've 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 talked to Steve Johnson, and he said, "Yeah, we can do it with puppets. It's absolutely doable." And so I'm very excited about getting into the nuts and bolts of it, and kind of figuring it out, and hope just hoping that it gets on its feet and it gets made. Any screenwriter can only hope for their baby to see the light of day, and that's where I'm at.
Oh, I think it will. I definitely think it will. And you're just so talented, and you've lived such a freaking. It's just so fascinating, and it just sounds so cool.
It's weird because I'd be doing one thing, like I was working on Trauma's War. I was working on the video box cover for Trauma's War. This is back in the '80s, and my friend Anson Downs is working as a writer with Mike Myers and Dave Thomas in Hollywood. And he and I were in this comedy group, this improv group at the Comedy Store together I was telling you about. And he says, "Hey, Mikey," he says, "send me over some funny sketches. We're stumped for comedy bits over here." And he's working with Mike Myers. This is pre-Saturday Night Live. This is before Mike Myers was Mike Myers. And I go, "Okay." And so I sent him this stupid little drawing of a guy who was like crash landed on an island in an airplane, and part of the fuselage of the airplane with the seat attached to the fuselage. He's still in the seat because the seat belt is jammed, and he's standing there on a war-torn island, and he's had to pick up a machine gun and defend himself, and he's still in the seat from the airplane with part of the fuselage. And it's just this most ridiculous, outlandish, just what in the world is this? Dave Thomas saw it, SCTV, Dave Thomas, the hoser, and he goes, "This is fucked up. You got to come over here and you got to play with us." I said, "What?" He goes, "Come over here, be a writer on the show." Are you kidding me? I dropped everything. I finished Lloyd Kaufman's job, but I ran to Hollywood. I got in the Writers Guild. We wrote 5 half-hours for CBS. It was all of his cronies from SCTV. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Catherine O'Hara. I mean, they were all in these episodes. And Mike Myers and I and Dave and Martin Short's brother, Mike Short, who's a real tall guy, he was our head writer. Yeah, he was our head writer. We're all in the same room together writing stupid jokes and having a blast. I learned the rule of comedy is think like a Jew, write like a Gentile. I love that. I love that. And I mean, my favorite year is one of my favorite comedies ever. Totally a Jewish type of a package thing that is so endearing and cute. It's a part of my vernacular to this very day. But I learned so much in that writer's room for those few months working with those greats, and that was a big treat to do that. And I've had a lot of a weird how I got from here to there. I had a lot of that weird stuff happen in my life, and thank God for it. It's been a great life.
Oh my gosh. And you've excuse me. And you started, you said back in the 70s, right? You started school
I
back in the 70s for it?
I graduated in 1973, Taft
Okay.
High, and 2 weeks out of that, after into summer vacation out of graduation, I got a job at NBC Television. That's where I graduated, and it was amazing to get that opportunity. I was in a band at the time, and they were going to go. They were just exploding. We were touring all over the valley, a doo-wop band called Little Elmo and the Cosmos. I was the drummer, and I said, "No, guys, you need a real drummer. I am like the worst drummer ever. Go to Atlantic City, find your fame. I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Burbank and work at NBC Television and be an artist." So that's kind of like a sliding door moment.
Well, you chose the right path, obviously.
I do. I think so. I would have loved to have gone into music, and it's a love of mine too. But you can't do everything.
No, you can't. So
Storyboard work has taken me on a lot of sets that I never would thought I would be able to experience, and going on, working with Brandon Braga on the Orville the first two seasons, and going
oh,
down there and walking on those sets. Man, I knew that this was a moment that I was probably not going to get to enjoy again, so I was just sucking it up, and it was the greatest. I mean, got to walk around the sound stages with him, Brandon and I, and he was just this. We worked together on Salem with Nick Kopus, and we did 3 seasons on Salem. And Brandon, at the end of season 2 on Salem, he said, "Michael, I've been looking at your storyboards and I like them a lot, but I've got a problem. I've got no script for this finale episode, for this season finale episode, and I need to kill off Tituba in some interesting way. And I don't have my scripts yet. Can you come up with an interesting way? We know we want to have our eyes pecked out, but I just don't. I want to do Richard Donner and all these greats. I don't want to do them a disservice. I got to do something great. And I said, "Oh, geez, what an opportunity for a storyboard artist to get asked to do writer's room stuff by
mhm.
an EP." I said, "Yeah, I'd love to come up with some ideas." So the next couple of days, I was cranking out all these storyboards and my own ideas. And I pitched them to Brandon. I said, instead of a bunch of ravens, or instead of one raven doing it, I said, I think I would put one raven up on a tree on a perch, kind of watching her walk down in the forest below from its point of view. And then the raven looks up, and it's like it calls its henchmen in, and all these other ravens come in and do its dirty work while it watches. He
Oh,
freaked. He goes, "Oh my God, we'll make it a CGI sequence. It'll be 100 ravens." I said, "There you go." So I
ah,
storyboarded it all that way. All the boards are done. They all reflect exactly what I just described. It was like me. It was my homage to Alfred Hitchcock and the Birds. It was
that
so
makes
much
what I was
fun.
thinking describing it.
And then cut to, I did the whole last third season, and then again, right at the end of the season, Brandon Brackett calls me. He says, "Michael, I got no script yet for my finale season." This is like the series, not the season. This is the series finale of Salem. And there's a 12-year-old little boy who's possessed by the devil, and he's going to transform into like a 30-year-old man version of the devil. And this transformation, Brandon has no idea how this transformation is going to go down on camera. He just knows it has to be spectacular. So he assigns me to come up with the idea. And so I go, "Yes, okay, yes, I'll do this." So literally, I'm pinching myself. And he says, he sends me the clip from Starman where Jeff Bridges is turning from the baby into himself. The scene from American Werewolf in London with it, the transformation scene, the classic one, on the living room floor.
Yeah.
He sends me anyway. He sends me all the greats of cinema history. So no pressure, Michael.
No.
You're not even the writer on this show. You're the storyboard artist, and you're doing like you're conceiving of the finale scene for the series, and I was
Yeah,
so
no.
excited. So
It's
I'll be quick. I just have to explain it because your fans are a lot of horror fans, right?
yeah, oh yeah,
So
yes.
this is really I never thought they would say yes to this because this is really bloody and gory and horrific. But in the prior episode, the kid has been drawn and quartered. They pulled his arms and legs and head off, and that didn't do it. That didn't do the trick. They sewed everything back on. They cobbled his clothes back together with all the stitches and everything, and his head and everything is stitched around the neck and shoulder blades. They were all, his arms were ripped off at the shoulder blades and everywhere. So he's got these stitches around his shoulder blades, his neck. I said, what's going to happen? I said, okay. He starts coughing up blood. He removes his jacket. He's in this hallway, and he's on his hands and knees, and he's writhing, and we hear him cracks and things internally. And all of a sudden, we cut to over his back. He's kind of hunched over. We're over his back, and these fingertips from like a grown man, 30 years old, start coming out from underneath his shoulder blades. Those wounds where his arms were ripped off in the prior episode. And he goes, and he rears up, and he's reacting to this. We cut to a long shot on the deck down the hallway, and we see we're in front of him now. We see these two arms go out of his back and just emerge from his back. These two human up to the bicep, and the kid is just like, he's like dying right now, essentially. But these arms then go bend, and they reach back. This other human inside of him, these arms reach back and grab the kid's head and start pulling the kid's head off his shoulders. And the kid's head is coming, like the stitches and everything are popping, and these staples, it's all 17th century shit. It's all popping and coming. And the kid's head just very slowly, not quick. It just comes off the shoulders, and he just drops the head on the floor. And then these hands take the neck and pull the neck apart, and his head comes out of the neck, and he pushes the carcass, down away, and the shot widens, and he stands up. He's covered in blood, and there's a 6-foot man. Brandon greenlit
Without
it.
even seeing that sounds like the dopest scene I've ever heard of.
They shot it. It's in Salem. If you go to the 3rd season, at the end, you will see that sequence. It is off the fucking hook.
Well, I'm going to be putting links for like not just your stuff, but like for your Vimeo and like these, like, hey, check out all of the description for when this video comes out.
I mean, lightning could strike me right now, and I would have had a great life.
Oh yeah, it definitely sounds. It really does. It sounds like you had an amazing, amazing life. Like, just to hear it, it's just like, oh. It's kind of fulfilling just to hear it in a way, I guess.
I mean, when I was 18, I don't want to belabor this because I've already wasted enough of your time, but when I was 18 or 19 at NBC, I was doing courtroom illustration for KNBC News like 2 or 3 days a week. And, I was covering the Manson trial of Leslie Van Houten. I was covering like the Saul Minio's murder trial and the Hillside Strangler. And I was just a kid, and I'm long hair, I drive in a Jeep, and I'm in there with markers, and I'm sketching in the courtroom, and I'm just having a blast. And so my boss in graphic arts comes up to me. He goes, hey, these 2 New York reporters are in town, and they're doing a story on a mob guy who came out of hiding after 30 years. They're down at the Bistro restaurant today. This is like a 5-star restaurant back then in Beverly Hills. He goes, they want an artist to draw him. He's doing business inside the restaurant. They need an artist. I go, well, I'm in jeans. I want a T-shirt. How good? He goes, go to wardrobe. They're expecting you. They're going to fit you in a suit. I go, really?
There you go.
So this is like James Bond. I get a wardrobe. They fit me in a 3-piece pinstripe suit. News has a brand new Monte Carlo with a 2-way radio in it for me. I'm supposed to meet a bald guy named Ira at the 31 Flavors across from, if this is all like, I'm sitting here doing Wheel of Fortune graphics, and now I'm a spy. I've got a drawing book in my hand. It looks like a menu, like leather bound, but it's got blank pages so I can draw in there, and it doesn't look like a drawing pad. So I meet these two reporters outside the restaurant, and the bald guy named Ira, and then they've got a stewardess in there to kind of lighten the picture. This really pretty airline stewardess, and back then it was called a stewardess. Now it's called a flight attendant. But these guys were wired for sound, and there was a film crew inside of a van parked across the street from the restaurant. And the whole thing just became like, are you kidding me? Do we have like security? No, there's no security. These guys are just trying to get a story. This guy's come out of hiding. I said, well, this sounds a little dangerous to me. Yeah. A little bit. So we go in there, the guy's not there, and they say, oh, we'll do everything tomorrow. He's here every other day. So this is the same day, same time, Dave Channel. The next day we do it. He's there. We go in. I've got to do 2 drawings, a tight shot, and then one. He's sitting at a table with like 9 executives. I get the tight drawing of him done.
Like the Last Supper, kind of like
yeah, kind of like the Last Supper, and it was almost like my Last Supper because they caught me. The mob guy looks up, and I'm going like this. I'm drawing. I look up, and he's like this.
Oh,
I go, oh my God, I think he's onto us. And the guys are going, just have a few bites of your veal and ignore him. I said, I'm ignoring him. But it got comical because I was so nervous. And he goes, you stay here with her, and we're going to try to get an interview with him because now that he's seen us. I go, what? Are you kidding? He goes, yeah, just pay for this. And you throw down some money. If we're not back, pay for this and get those drawings done back at the network. I go, okay. Anyway, the guy comes back in about 15 minutes later. I hadn't paid yet. I was kind of like hitting on this stewardess. And so they go, did you pay for it? He's all disheveled and sweaty. I go, what happened? He goes, well, I got very upset. Let's get out of here. So that happened. And so I wrote when I first met Kim, we wrote a couple of books. One of them was 9 Degrees North, this coming of age thing about Kwajalein. And the other one was a memoir of mine called In the Shadows of Giants, which is about my dad and myself. I grew up in the shadow of a giant. His whole career was about working in the shadows of giants, doubling guys like John Wayne and Clark Gable and Dean Martin. So it's my book, and that story about the courtroom, the mob guy and the undercover artist is in there. It's a chapter in the book.
Oh my gosh, they need to like take that. Like, you need to take your book and like make like a little.
Oh, I would love to.
Like a Netflix movie or something.
Oh, because my dad's life. I was on the set. One of the chapters is when I was on the set of Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and watching my dad work with Joe Zito and kill the guy in the shower. You know, where he runs his hand in the shower and he smashes that guy's head against the tile. Well, I was there that night. I got to watch that, and it was hysterical because Tom Savini had built this head of the actor. I forget which actor it was. He goes, now, Ted, and I'm a fly on the wall. I'm just listening to everything. And he says, Ted, and I was talking to my dad, Ted White. He goes, I want you to be really careful with this head because it costs a lot of money for us to make. And we got to get 3 or 4 takes out of this. I'm going to be shooting blood up into it with this big syringe, but you know, you got to be careful with it, okay? And my dad goes, oh, don't worry, Tom. I got you. I'll be very careful. And then Tom goes away, and Joe Zito, the director, comes up and goes, now, Ted, listen. I want this to be very visceral, very like violent and visceral. I want you to just crush the head. He goes, oh, I'll give it the works, Joe. No problem. He's just saying yes to everybody, and I'm just snickering over in the corner. And then they go action, and my dad just rah! The candy glass breaks, and the shower water, and Tom squirting the blood, and the cut, and Tom again comes up to my dad, and goes, Ted, you gotta take it easy. You're ruining the thing, and I've got it now. And then Joe comes up to me, and goes, Ted, I need you to be more violent. It's gotta be visceral. And he goes, oh, I'll really give it the works. Anyway, that happened like 3 times, where it just got more and more violent. And the third take, my dad just was literally crushed. They caved the skull in, and the jaw disconnected. It was hanging down. Tom is going, no, my prostate, and screaming, no, Ted. And Joe's going, yes. It was movie magic. It was so much fun.
I love that.
God.
They need to do like a Netflix, like when they, how they just recently did Dahmer, where it's like broken into like 4 or 5 hour long episodes.
Yeah.
But not murdery. But
my dad's stories, they are so tall, and there are so many of them with such big names. The story of how he almost got in a fight with John Wayne is in the book.
Oh.
I mean, I don't want to plug the book, but In the Shadows of Giants, stories from the son of a Hollywood stuntman, on Amazon.com. Check it out. It's a really fun read. A lot of comedy, and it's all true, and it's all just ridiculously dysfunctional.
Oh, plug away, please. This is time for you. Plug away. Talk about you, not me. So
thank you. Well, I'm just hoping that CornStalkers gets made, and I'm so honored to be getting these accolades as a writer. The Portland Screenplay Awards, just out of 1,000 screenplays submitted, put CornStalkers in the top 10.
Hell yeah.
And I live in Portland, so for me, that was kind of like, oh, that is so cool. That is such an honor. And anyway, I'm riding this wave and hoping it never breaks.
Me too, me too. Because you are truly, like I said before, you're truly an amazing and talented artist and very multifaceted. And
Thank
I just,
you.
I love seeing good things happen for good people. So even if, you know,
Well, that's why I did the logo for you, because look what's come of it. You feature me in your magazine, you put me on your podcast, we get to have some laughs and talk about it. And who knows who will see this and maybe go, that guy's interesting. Let's throw something at him to, do something for us maybe. And you never know where anything's going to lead. I say yes to everything nowadays because you just don't know. You can't read the future.
so you're going Friday the 13th about it, just like, yes, yep, I can do that. Yep.
Everything, yeah, anything. Oh, I do that too. Not really, but I'll figure it out.
Just smile and nod.
Yeah, yeah, I can do that. Sure, no problem.
And the
So can
fun
I read? Can I read you my synopsis for? It's very short for
Yeah,
Cornstalkers.
absolutely.
Okay, this is the synopsis for Cornstalkers. I'm reading off my monitor here.
Good.
Jessica McDuffie's world is upended when she learns she's adopted, and that her real father was just 17 years old when he died. He was murdered by a dark arts practitioner, Tarantula. Tarantula is the leader of this notorious hot rod car club, and she's left with just this tattered photo album of her real father, and she follows leads from these photographs that lead her to this abandoned corn maze. And she accidentally awakens this paranormal energy in the doing of this. And this haunted corn maze is where her newly acquired grandfather, as payback, mysteriously drove Tarantula and her car club all to their death, to their graves, so many years ago on Halloween night in this cornfield. And it's a mystery. How did this happen? And this perilous haunting has to be cleared now. A ritual clearing has to be done. Otherwise, this high octane horror that exists there is going to continue to penetrate her and her friends' lives and offing them one by one.
Yeah, you do better.
So it's really got a fun structure to it, and you care about Jessica because she gets blindsided right at the beginning when they just want to get their fake IDs made so they can go party, and her ID's locked. Her birth certificate's locked, and she goes, "Mom, what's the deal?" And mom has to come clean about her being adopted. So it's like her fucking life just collapses. I mean, everything she thought was real, her dad is not her real dad. And you feel for her. Your heart's broken for her. And she got this little brother who loves her, and she leaves home. And the minute I created her and I created this character called Tarantula, our nemesis, Tarantula is so evil and so scary. She breeds spiders, and now she has these spiders that are not your normal ordinary spiders. They are like black widows that are much bigger and deadly, beyond deadly. So it's a hot rods and high octane horror, and you're just rooting for your hero. You feel bad for her. You want her to find out the truth about her real father, and then boom, she opens the door to this world that she wished she'd never ever stepped into.
I can't wait till you got like the production going on, because I want to see a little sneakies here and there if you'd be nice.
Oh yeah, I'll leak some stuff to you. I'll leak some stuff to you. First of all, we got to get somebody to keep. We got to keep people nodding yes. So far, so good. A few of the biggies have read it at the top level, and they haven't passed on it yet. So it's very encouraging. And I haven't even started writing any query letters yet. My real plan, before I got kind of sidetracked with Nick, my real plan was just to take all the accolades after all the film festivals come in and write query letters to producers and distributors of like-minded movies to see if they will at least read my screenplay and see if I can kind of find a connection on my own rather than cashing in on storyboard directors and storyboard connections. but Nick is a good friend, and it was Nick and I always share screenplays back and forth. We love horror films. Nick is a big kid like me, so he was a natural for me to share it with, and then he just really loved it. And so I'm just holding my breath to see where it goes with him. But if that fizzles, then I'm going to start doing query letters and seeing if I can parlay these accolades into getting this made.
Hell yeah, fingers crossed. I'll light a candle for you and let the good energy go out into the universe for you.
Thank you, dear.
Oh my gosh. And it's got hot rods in it too. That's what really, because I like.
Oh,
I like
and if you think about the sound of a blown fuel engine, and there's a grind behind that, there's this sound behind that, and maybe two or three other layers of sound. I'm going to have my sound designer create a monster from the sound design of the cars. I'm going to have
drive feels right now.
that grinding horsepower, the monster grinding horsepower, and then have a real experienced sound designer take it and build this monstrous sound for her car. And there's some phantom hot rods in it that take after you in a cornfield, and in the middle of the night with some of these scenes, the way they're designed and written, it's going to be really terrifying. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. I want to see it.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for not just coming on today, but for everything you've done for me.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure, Joe. You're easy to work for, and you're nice, and you're appreciative, and I really, anything you ever need from me, you just ask.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, we're at the end of the program here, of your regularly scheduled program here, folks. Do you have any last words for the people listening or watching?
Any last words? No, I really don't. I just want to say humbly how grateful I am to the community out there, the other screenwriters who have been so supportive. R.C. Matheson, the son of Richard Matheson, Richard Christian Matheson is my good friend, and he taught me during this process how to deal with mystery and how to shut the hell up and let the audience do half the work. I had all this expositional writing in there that was just extraneous. People like Mayan Scheider, who was my proofreader in New York, bless you. You saved my ass with all of my horrific spelling and some of my format issues and just common sense stuff that she found that I'm so appreciative for my support system. Aaron Barocas. I feel like I'm giving my Academy Award speech. Where's that award?
This is your time, sir.
Is there an award? Where's the like get going music? Yeah, the music needs to come on. Like, okay, end the speech. Cut. But no, I'm humbled that I've had such wonderful support, and I'm really honored to be part of the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much.
You on, and I gotta have you on again.
I love to come back.
Even if it's not for CornStalkers, you can always come on whenever you want. Just be like, hey, I'm bored.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for either listening or watching. Check out I got a bunch of links in the description wherever you're watching from. All the boxes are in different spots. But everything for Michael Bayouth will be in the description below, including the chance to go and watch his little secret movie with a little code in there.
I let that cat out of the bag intentionally, so have fun. Yeah. I'll have to send you the link to my Vimeo account.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I want to see it. So
yeah, I can't wait to get some feedback on that. It was funny, the last thing here, the Howl In One, the very first movie I ever did, was found in a Goodwill bin up here in Portland. And some guy, he's called Dr. VHS. He stripped it off the VHS, and he has a site where he finds movies in the dumpster bin at Goodwill. And they usually make fun of him. And they said, wait a second, this is kind of a funny little cute horror film. And his whole fan base started commenting on, there's all these posts. And when I found out about it and I met him and the cast found out about it, we all went nuts because it was the most attention our little movie had ever got. It really found its fan base for the first time. Anyway, I'll let you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I can't stop saying thank you.
Much appreciated, Joe.
Thank you so much. I'll let you go. And I guess
Okay.
that's all right.
We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you hit the like button and the subscribe button just in case you haven't already, so you never miss an upcoming episode of Any Last Words. Until then, I hope you have nightmares about me.